welcome back, everybody, to episode 22 of the Pat and Play podcast. You are joined by Tim, again, as your host, with Vaughn and Chris. Thanks again, guys, for joining. How are we doing?
Mixed emotions.
Have you seen how nice the weather is? Yeah.
Outstanding weather.
Yeah, that's all we want to talk about for today.
Yeah. Might be easier. Certainly more pleasant. The football does not stop, and we are just sort of hanging on to our coattails here, trying to stay along for the ride and stay updated with everything that's happening. We also got Champions League, of course, happening this week. So lots to talk about. Before we talk Premier League, let's just quickly reflect on the draw, which happened since the last episode. We had a very weird situation. I think it would be remiss not to at least cover it as a football podcast after being told that you can't mix politics and football by FIFA as a footballing body. After the Israel-Gaza situation, or during the Israel-Gaza situation, we're now faced by having a fake peace prize awarded to someone in a footballing environment and then have a president sort of take the center stage at a footballing competition. Very odd vibes. Did you guys feel as uncomfortable as I did around that whole ceremony? Just a bit weird, right?
I think for me, I mean, the World Cup and all of that kind of lost credibility with the last tournament. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing felt like a bit of a sham. We could probably go back further. We could even go back to when we should have got the tournaments in 2006. But I just think, yeah, I'm with you. It's a bit of a sham.
Yeah. How do you feel, Vaughn?
It's really heartbreaking because I love the World Cup. It's one of my favorite times every 4 years. Like, I love football at the end of the day, and the World Cup it's a gift that gives, you know, and I kind of made excuses majority of the times because the football is so good that everything that happens behind the scenes, the ends justify the means in a way. You can say it with the 2010 World Cup because definitely we know it came here because things were done behind the scenes. For me, even the Qatar one, the way it was run, the way that they won the bid, not the greatest, but the football gave the best. I mean, I watched every single game of that tournament, and it was beautiful. This American one, like I've said before, I was actually planning not to watch it, but then dreams are coming true with the draws and South Africa qualifying. Saudi Arabia winning the one after that is absolutely, or not even the one. So we're going to get the 6 countries and then Saudi. And the way that was done, like the 6 countries, it's done so that it eliminates everyone else except for Saudi to host it. And then I think after that, it kind of every other continent is also eliminated so that it can go back to America or something to that effect. And it's just, I don't like when politics takes away from the game. I really don't. It breaks my heart. And 84 minutes of praising Donald Trump before we can get to a draw is just frustrating on a Friday night. But I mean, it's not like we're not going to watch the games. It's not like we're not going to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to watch. But it's because we love football. I hate the fact that it's in America. I hate the fact that Donald Trump is going to be the face of this tournament. I also hate the stupid song. It sounds like a heartbreak love lullaby. It's got nothing to do with football.
Definitely the words in a long time in terms of World Cup chants or theme songs.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. But like I say, I hate everything that comes with it. But I love the football, so I'm still going to watch it, you know? It doesn't matter what I say. It doesn't matter how I feel. It's still going to give back to me, and it's still going to make me fall in love with football again.
Yeah. It's tarnishing a tournament that shouldn't be tarnished. But well done, Gianni Infantino. And there's certainly a word in your last name there, which is your maturity level and your political development. But there we go. I've got 2 Liverpool fans on the show today. So I feel like we have to speak about the elephant in the room, guys. Pretty incendiary couple of days. Vaughn, why don't we start with you first. It's obviously a bit of a, while the football can go up and down, I think when arguably the greatest ever Liverpool player sort of decides to go to war with the coach, which is certainly what it looks like might be going on, and now it looks like he's not coming with the squad to the midweek fixture. How do you feel about it? Where do you sit at the moment? Initial thoughts?
It's so difficult because I see both sides of the story, and I don't know if that's just the journalist in me who sees both sides of the story and tries to remove the emotion from everything. But I cannot be emotional about this. I cannot have feelings about it for both sides, both the club and the player. I remember the last time a club legend felt this way, when a manager sort of threw him under the bus. And I say that in inverted commas or quotes or whatever, because I don't know how true that is. When Brendan Rodgers kind of made Steven Gerrard like sit on the bench, and it's difficult because I don't think Salah is on the level of Steven Gerrard in terms of carrying the team on his back, sort of thing. But don't get me wrong, at the same time, I don't think we could have been where we are and won the trophies that we've won over the last 10 years without Mohamed Salah. I don't think he's carried the team the same way as Gerrard has or did. But that doesn't take away the fact that he deserves the respect. I think benching him for the 2 games was enough. Not bringing him on in the Leeds game is too much. I think the fact that in the other 2 games that you benched him, we won 1 and we drew 1. And it's not like it made the biggest difference, him not pitching up, which I even said after the game, or when we had conceded the 2 goals against Leeds, before we had taken the lead again and then conceded again, I said to my dad, this just proves that Salah is not the problem in the squad. The problem is the management. Going defensive when you still have 30 minutes to play, that's not a Liverpool mentality. It's not how we play. We don't score 2 goals and then sit back and say, come at us. Especially when you're weak in defense. That's not what we do, but that's the tactic. So him saying what he said is not the right thing. 100% is not the right thing. Especially when your team is going through what it's going through, and before such an important travel day. He hasn't traveled, and I do think that that's the right decision. From what I can gather, it didn't necessarily come from Klopp. It came from Michael Edwards and Co. They made the decision not to let him travel. Whether he plays against Brighton at the weekend or not, I don't know. I do hope that they're going to take this time that he hasn't traveled to sit down with him and try and iron out the issues. But I feel like he's kind of getting hate online for his reaction, which I think is justified at the end of the day, because like I said, it's not the Liverpool way. You don't throw the team under the bus, just as much as the team shouldn't throw him under the bus. And I do feel his pain, but I also feel like it's sort of a situation for me where everyone always sees someone's action or reaction to something. No one sees what caused him to have this reaction. We don't know what's been happening behind doors. We don't know what's been happening in the change rooms. And it's so prolific in a way that Dom, in his post-match interview, said what happens in the change room sort of stays in the change room. And it was a few hours before Salah let this bomb out, which tells me that there is a lot of stuff going on. I've sort of suspected it for a little while, that Slot is slowly losing the change room and the dressing room. I feel like the players aren't giving their all to him, and I think that's what's sort of breaking things down. So I'm disappointed in Salah and his reaction, but I'm equally disappointed in the team in allowing it to get to this point where he feels like he needs to be heard. And the only way that he is going to be heard is by speaking out in this manner. And yes, it does hurt the club, but yes, it does also hurt the player. And I would hate for him to leave on this note and not be given the cherries that he deserves to be given his service to the club.
Chris, how do you feel?
I think Von said a lot of what I would have said. The first, my gut thing is he went about it the wrong way. I think as much as he is a world-class player, and he's so good, he possibly bought into his own hype a little bit too much. So he thought everyone's going to come out in support of him and whatever. Because, I mean, this is only, the third or fourth interview he's ever given. And he, for me, that's a person who has pre-planned this thing and he's gone, this is what's going to happen. And in his head, he's thinking everyone's going to come out in support of me and this honest lot. Which, for me, to Von's point, I think the last time I was on, the stocks falling for me was Slot, because it does seem like he's lost the dressing room. The players, it's impossible that they all are playing so badly at the same time. You don't all lose form in that much of a coincidence. And top players like Virgil van Dijk doesn't seem to be entered. Konate is making far too many errors. He's better than that. Like, I just think even if they're not playing badly on purpose, one of Klopp's ethoses was that he kind of gets everyone to know everything about everyone else, and they're playing for each other, and like he created a sort of atmosphere, which I don't think is there right now. I mean, who there, besides Szoboszlai, possibly Ekitike, who there can you honestly say is giving 100%? Maybe Conor Bradley in the odd game.
Curtis. Yeah, Curtis. But the rest seem to be kind of going through the motions or whatever. I mean, Cody Gakpo's, he's looking pedestrian. He just seems to do the same thing over and over, and it's not looking like a team who wants to win. But that said, always a big proponent of that. You don't air your dirty laundry. So if Salah had an issue, I don't think he went about it the right way, because he looks like a bit of an ass right now for me. Like, I don't think he should have been kept on the bench, and everyone's still, he has been playing badly, but then let the guy come on 20 minutes to go and kind of have a run, have a go, play himself back into form. That would be my kind of thing. But instead he's going, I'm the scapegoat and I've been thrown under the bus. There's been so many of them that have been spoken about, but there's nobody who can replace, for example, Virgil van Dijk. Nobody, you can't put him on the bench because we don't have a decent or even half-decent central defender to put him. Kerkez, I don't know why he hasn't been benched, but anyway, that's a whole other story. But for him to say what he said and have that go at the manager, I think, even though he kind of came out and said, I love the club and everything, he kind of thought he was bigger than the club. And that's always been a massive Liverpool thing. Is he's bigger than the club, though.
I beg your pardon?
In the statement, he does say he's not bigger than the club, but he thinks that he deserves to be treated better.
He says, I'm not bigger than the club, but I've earned the right to be on the pitch, or something like that. He said, I've earned this, which to me is saying I'm not bigger than the club, but I am bigger than the club. Because you can't.
The actions. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, in football, for me, if you're not on form, football's a present thing. You can't be like, hey man, I was great last season, I have to play every single game. And the dude keeps himself in shape and everything. And there's been a lot of talk about how he's missing Trent, but I don't think that's the issue. I think the rest of the team maybe isn't putting in a big enough shift, and then they're able to double up on him more than they ever did before, which kind of frustrates him, makes it harder for him to play. He's also kind of lost a yard of pace, which used to be one of his big assets. But even besides that, he's been struggling to go past people, etc., etc. He's probably lacking a bit of confidence. But still, for me, I don't think, if you're not playing well, you don't deserve an automatic starting place. So as much as he has been our best player for years, I think Slot was trying to make a statement by benching him. So I think they're both wrong, to be honest. It's like, for me, it's just for the lack of a better term, it's a massive shit show.
Yeah.
My thing is, sorry, I get what Chris is saying, and I agree 100%. If you're not playing well, you don't deserve to be in the starting lineup. But for me, what the argument is is Salah's not the only player that's not playing well. Yet he benches him but leaves Ibo on the pitch where you can play Endo or Joe. Yeah, Joe, who's also a central defender. Endo plays as a defender for Japan, so you can play him. Joe sits on the bench. Endo sits on the bench. Cody's not having the greatest time, yet Cody starts every single game. The only reason why he didn't travel is apparently he picked up a knock against Leeds, so he's injured and he's out for a few weeks. That's what he just said in the press conference. Where you have Rio that can play on that side, you have Wirtz that can play on that side, you have Hugo that can play on that side. Like Chiesa, guys. Chiesa is pure talent. Chiesa literally saved Slot's job a week ago. And that man sits on the bench, doesn't get any game time. He's left behind because apparently he's sick. That's why he didn't travel. And Slot says if he gets better by tomorrow morning, he'll fly in to play in Italy. So Chiesa didn't travel. So my thing is, Kirkes, another one. Why is Robbo on the bench and Kirkes starting when Kirkes...
Yeah.
If this man is not falling over and causing cuck, literally, he still starts. I don't get it. So my thing is, yes, I get why Salah feels like he's being thrown under the bus and why he's being made an example of, because you can list mistakes from every single player besides maybe Dom. And you have maybe not the best options, but I mean, Klopp won a Carabao Cup final with the kids. So if you're talented enough to manage the right team, you can pull out results regardless of who's there. If your team is not showing up, play the kids.
Yeah, but that goes back to Klopp's like methodology and his man management. Like I said, I think in as much as I think Salah was wrong to do the interview, I think Slot definitely trying to prove a point, show he's in charge, but he's having the opposite effect.
I said this earlier on in the season, which was that Dutch managers often do well initially abroad and will have a period of success. And then when it goes wrong, it's often as a result of personnel issues, which is just man management is often less effective for Dutch managers than tactical management because as someone with a Dutch passport, I can get away with saying it. The Dutch directness, the sort of the emotional intelligence when it comes to approaching interpersonal conflicts, we are often very direct. We don't soften the message often, and we don't allow it to land with tact. And I think when Salah says that he went from having a relationship to no relationship, I think it's a bad look for Slot as well, in the sense that when your arguably greatest ever player feels that his only way of emotionally releasing his frustration is to strop down the tunnel into the mixed zone, find the first journalist he could find, and I'm telling you that Norwegian reporter must have thought Christmas had come early, the fact that it was him and his station who randomly got this expose interview off the cuff of the game. But obviously Salah's head is hot. He's seen Leeds come back and score the equalizer, and it feels like he's stropped down the tunnel and he's just let it all out. But as a manager, you've got to be better than that. You cannot allow a relationship to get to the point where that's how the convo goes, because what it sounds like to me is that's a one-sided conversation for a boardroom where Salah sits down with Slot and they have this convo. But there was no convo, clearly. And so Salah has had that convo with the world in a very dirty, uncomfortable way for every single person. I'm sure Salah doesn't like it either. He's a professional. As you guys know, he's a kind of happy-go-lucky, cheerful bloke, quite rare for someone with that level of talent. And so for me, I don't like it as a player doing that. I think you shoot your team in the foot. But at the same time, I think it's a representation of really poor personnel management. And you guys say he might have lost the dressing room. I think it's going to be really interesting to see where we go from here, because a lot of the players who are in that dressing room are new, and their loyalties may align more closely with Slot's crew than with Salah, because at the end of the day, an awful lot of those players don't know Salah very, very well. And this was one of the themes of the Athletic article, was that their sources in the dressing room are saying, we expected Salah to, say something soon, that there were these tensions, but that there aren't an awful lot of very close personal one-on-one relationships, Van Dijk being one of them with Salah. But beyond that, a lot of his best friends have left the club. And so he may feel more personally isolated and that he's being squeezed out of his club. So there's a lot of balancing frustrations here. And I feel it's a real shame, for this to have happened. That said, when Arteta had a fight with Aubameyang, and Aubameyang went from Arsenal's talismanic striker to get him out of here on the first flight to Barcelona and sell him, and I think it was all down to Aubameyang coming late for a North London derby, I think he was 20 minutes late or something. He drove there instead of joining the team bus. Arteta used the fact that almost to be an authoritarian leaders sometimes need a moment where you can use someone as an example, and then it actually creates more team unity. So you basically, you other them a little bit and you go, that's not how we do it in Liverpool. And then you create this sort of, backs to the wall mentality. We've been cornered, and it can sometimes actually work to improve squad unity. So let's see how we go from here. But I want to get quick predictions from you both in terms of who leaves Liverpool first.
To ask one question before we move on. And it's something I'm kind of wrestling with in my head. Von, if Liverpool had to get an offer for Salah, which I'd imagine would be in the region of 200 million? Would that be worthwhile? Sorry, jumping in here.
It's difficult because...
Who are you getting 200 mil from?
So it's the only option.
The Saudis got
see it for a 1-year contract.
But I know Saudi's been after him for a long time, right? And I think Saudi would be the only possibility for him. But the Saudi league is also changing. They're not necessarily investing in big names anymore because they have come up and they have established themselves, and they're trying to bring in younger talent right now. Yep. I don't think they're going to offer big money and cover his salary, because remember, he's earning a lot. My thing is, do I want to sell him? The answer is no. Does he want to go? I don't think so. It's literally, it leads into what Tim was going to ask. Salah versus Slot, which side are you on? Who do you choose? Who goes first? And if you had to ask me, I don't want either one of them. I want it all to be back to perfect and everyone loving each other in a real world. But if you had to ask me, I pick Salah. And I say this as someone who, I don't even own a Salah shirt, guys. I own a lot of Liverpool shirts, and a lot of my shirts have players' names on it. I don't even own a Salah shirt, but I pick Salah over Slot.
Yeah.
And it came down to, it was something small. And I remember this when we won the league against Spurs, that specific game. It was incredible, right? It wasn't necessarily when we got the trophy or anything. We won it against Spurs. And we had got a goal down and we came back and all of that stuff. And when we had won, we were celebrating. And I mean, it was a massive party. I was at the Liverpool Supporters Club in Cape Town. And it was amazing. And I said to my dad, he's just done the unthinkable in his first season. But do you feel towards Slot the same way you felt towards Klopp? And both of us said no. We're grateful for him, but I do not love that man. I appreciate him, whereas I adore Klopp. And I adored him from day one, before he had won anything. I like...
He's charisma. Yeah.
I don't know what... I think he gets Liverpool. He gets the club. I feel like... And it was small things for me with Klopp. And please don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to compare the two, because I know they're two very, very different human beings and two very, very different managers, two very, very different ideals when it comes to football. But for me, the difference is when Liverpool lost the Champions League final to Real Madrid the first time, they had already arranged an entire party or whatever in case they won at the hotel. They lost. Everyone was upset. And Hendo speaks about this in one of his interviews. And everyone was upset, and they had gotten back to the hotel, and everyone was like, done. They wanted to go up to their room, sleep it off, travel back home the next day, like forget about it. Klopp did not allow them to go back to their rooms. He was like, we party because we made it to the final. Regardless of the fact that we lost, we made it to the final. No one thought we were going to make it to the final. We made it. So we party and we celebrate. And he didn't force, but he encouraged them to all drink, to party, to dance, to get rid of it, get the bad vibes out, and then go again.
If
I
memory,
feel like Slot.
Yeah, if memory serves me, he said this is just the beginning. Why are you upset? It was the Europa League, actually.
Exactly.
And he was like, I want to see everybody on the
sorry,
dance floor.
You're correct. It was the Europa League that we lost. It was our first final. But like, I don't get that from Slot. I don't get the camaraderie. I don't get the family feeling from Slot. It's very tactical, and it's weird because, yes, you say he's Dutch, but Klopp is German, and I expected like a more military sort of way of things from a German as opposed to a Dutch coach. And I know that they're two very, very different people, and you can't expect the same personality and the same tactics and the same morale to come from them. So please don't come at me for that. But I feel like Liverpool is built on a family, a brotherhood. They look after each other. And you can even see today, Salah went to training, smiles. The guys were there, like as if nothing happened sort of vibe. He was told afterwards, 1 minute and, 1 minute conversation with Klopp, you're not traveling, and he accepted it sort of vibe. But I don't feel like that team, the coreness, the brotherhood is there anymore. And I don't know if that's just the way that Slot runs things, or if things have just changed in the foundation of Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, Klopp is a unique individual in some respects, which is why he was able to do so well at Liverpool, but also a unique style which just meshes with your club culture and your club history as well. Like in many respects, even the German tactic that he sort of invented or developed, gegenpressing, of course, is very close to what Liverpool, as you guys all know very well, associate with what a club identity for how to play looks like. Pressing, high intensity, you wear your heart on your sleeve,
Like before, we would go a goal down and it never worried us because we knew it would just make us angry, and we'd go harder, we would attack, we would throw everything we possibly could to get the goals back in. Now we go a goal down and everyone drops their head and they're like, oh, well, it's another loss. That's it. Game over. We go a goal up. They're not even celebrating the goals. We got 2 goals up. We're not celebrating. We make stupid changes and go all defensive. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm very emotional today. Let me be a goal. I'm sorry.
Completely understandable. So, quick thoughts on some of the other games for this week. So we'll just do a quick pulse check for the title race. Villa beat Arsenal 2-1. Quick thoughts on this one from my side are one game too far. It's been a wonderful run, but I don't know how to describe it, but in my head it's like, when you're running into your house after a cold day and you've got like a jacket on and a hat on and a scarf on and gloves on. You know what it's like when it's like snowing or something, and you run inside and it's warm and you start peeling off layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. I feel like Arsenal over the last few weeks, after each game, we peel off another player and just discard them and then go into the next game. And it's like we look gradually more and more naked until we're walking into the snow and it's just us in our boxer shorts, And there's a limit to how far you can go with a squad like that. And a couple people have been saying, but that was the whole point in buying the defenders and the extra players and having a big squad. And my response to that is, you don't win titles with your B team, even if your B team is a very good B team, because the idea of a squad is to raise the floor of your minimum level so that if you do lose your Gabriel, you can bring in someone like a Mosquera or a Hincapié or whatever. Or if you lose a Timber, you can bring in a White. The intention is not that you lose all of those players, replace all of them and still maintain your level. That's not how it works. And so I think we are starting to see the impact of not having big Gabriel Magalhaes at centre-back, no Saliba, and general fatigue from the players who have been playing way too much football because their second in commands for those positions have not been available. And yeah, it's great to have a centre mid who can play up front for like 20, 30 games in Mikel Merino. But it's not sustainable. That's not how we're supposed to play. And so, yeah, long story short, folks, I think Villa played a very, very smart game. They played very well. It was the first time we've conceded that much XG this season, I think. It was the first game we've conceded more than 1 XG since the Man United game on the opening day. And I think it could have gone either way. I feel like Arsenal could have won 3-0. I feel like Villa could have won 3-0. I thought 1-1 was probably the fair result. But at the end of the day, if you don't clear your box and you do a couple of silly mistakes which look like fatigue, in this league, you're going to get slapped. And we got slapped. Villa came to play. I think Arsenal didn't have enough fuel in the tank. And I think that when you're up against Villa, that can happen. And Villa beat Arsenal twice last season. I think it was the season before they beat us twice when we had the title race against City. They beat City that season as well, home and away. Villa have a fantastic record against the Big Six over the last 2-3 years. I don't think they're going to be in the title race come the end of the season, despite what they think. But they were brilliant. And sometimes when you come up against a team in really good form, this happens. It's the Premier League. This is why we love our league, is because even if you think you're on top and you're on an unbeaten run, someone will come for you one day. And this time it was, unfortunately, Unai Emery, who loves to have Mikel Arteta's number. Any thoughts on Villa and Arsenal, guys?
Villa's been on a great run of form. I think Liverpool's the only team that beat them, weirdly enough. And I wasn't too shocked. I actually think on Super Brew I put Villa to beat them. But yeah, Arsenal's got the injury problems or whatever. They just need to hang on and hope that they don't do anything great.
Agree. City looked good, didn't they? Again,
yeah.
That assist by Choki is, man, I could watch that on repeat for days.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Chris called it, actually, that he's back. And it seems like all our predictions of if Haaland doesn't score, City have nothing, Foden is showing up. And Mamouche is back now, and yeah.
Doku scoring.
And Haaland's been crap. Like he's not scored. Yeah. Tragedy.
Yeah, he has been a bit average for a few games.
I remember on to the next game quickly. I don't want to make fun of Arsenal at all because I really do respect them and I think that this is their title to
lose. You can.
Honestly. But I saw a video, and it's not the one I sent you guys, of like everyone's reaction after them the goal going in. Villa's official Instagram account, and I'm pretty sure they've done it on TikTok as well, have put the highlight reel of that goal to the Titanic music. And it is absolute gold. It is beautiful. Do yourself a favor and please go watch it. It is absolute gold.
Listeners, you can do that. I think I'm going to be protecting my mental health and leaving that one alone. Foden, just to jump back onto Foden for a second. We did that episode a few games back where Chris, you did mention Foden, and he looked himself, even if he hadn't yet had an explosive game. It was actually, I think it was he played okay against you guys, and then he played Newcastle away, which they actually lost, 2-1. but his movement looked like with Foden, it's sometimes weird. You can almost see from how he's just passing the ball around, whether he's on it or not. And so off the back of that game, even though they lost, I brought him in for fantasy football and I captained him. And last 3 game weeks, I've captained him and he got 15 points, 17 points, and then 12 points, which obviously captain doubles it. He has been insanely good. Now, Foden is like this. He's very streaky. So I do expect it to go on for a few more games and then he won't score again for like 20 games. But right now, that's all you want, right? Your manager goes, Haaland stop scoring, someone else fill the void, and the dude just explodes. Crikey, yeah. I don't envy Thomas Tuchel's job in the summer, man, to pick a freaking attacking lineup for England. My goodness me. Cole Palmer, Foden, Saka, Kane, Bellingham. No. How do you put everyone together and make it work? We're back to England with the Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes
and the sad
problem,
thing
aren't we?
is, despite all of this, they still won't win the World Cup. I hate to say it, but they won't.
For sure. No. But they'll get close enough that Football's Coming Home will become a trending song again. And then Chelsea, I feel like Chelsea's just a bit of a tease at the moment. Arsenal drop a few points, and then you look at Chelsea and you go, oh, Chelsea are now going to win and catch up. And then they lost to Leeds, which you did. I didn't see that coming at all. And by the way, Leeds have had a fantastic few weeks. Oh my goodness.
They played City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in 1 week.
I think that's Calvert.
It's insane. And they've done well.
You know what I'm talking about. He's had a lot to do with it. He's been spectacular for them. He's such a knock.
Remontada for Calvert-Lewin.
And the guy that scored the 3rd goal for Leeds against Liverpool, I can't remember his name, starts with a T. He scored also his first 2 goals in the Premier League, obviously, in this week alone. Leeds, they were under pressure with their manager and they flopped. And they were like, okay, we'll turn on for you.
Are you talking about the Tanaka guy they signed a year before? Oh, man, he is... When Leeds signed Tanaka, I think that there was a lot of surprise that Leeds had managed to attract him to a non-Premier League club. And yeah, wow, he looks comfortable. I think even if Leeds go back down, Tanaka will be picked up by a team because he's brilliant at centre mid. Chelsea are a weird one.
They seem to blow hot and cold.
After the game against...
Like all of the players, not just the team.
Yeah.
Which they need to be, like Liverpool's at least been consistent for the last 6-7 games.
Yeah, consistently bad.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But
there's just such an asymmetry in dedication to the cause for me. You got players who are lining up for Chelsea, and maybe this is what happens when you give people 10-year contracts or whatever, that there's no actual motivation for some of them to try. But you look at someone like Enzo Fernandez and Reece James, and they are literally putting everything on the line in every game, to the point where I think they step over the line, some of them, while Caicedo definitely did in the game against Arsenal. And Enzo is a thoroughly unpleasant person most of the time. But I'm sure the Chelsea fans love it. There are others, though, where you just look at their body language and you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like Garnacho will lose the ball and then just jog back. Or Tosin, who was signed very recently from Fulham and just suddenly looks like he doesn't know how to play football, or care either that he doesn't know how to play football. So it's a bit of a weird asymmetry. It's like one moment they're like really, really hot, and then the next moment they're beaten thoroughly by Leeds. And then against Bournemouth we were loving Bournemouth at the beginning of the season, and they've just been sliding down the table. And yet Chelsea couldn't do anything, couldn't lay a glove on them, really.
It was inexperience and the young players, because when they do really well and they play really well, I feel like they get hot-headed. And then they go into the next game and they're just like, oh, look at us. No one can touch us. We did this. We did that. And they forget that every single game you have to turn up. So that's why your older players, like you're saying, Reece James and Enzo, they show up and they go balls to the wall every game because they're experienced. They know that you have to turn up every single game. Whereas with the rest of them, them being so young, they're not used to that sort of mentality maybe a little bit, and maybe they need to be a little bit more managed in terms of their mindset. So I think that's what it boils down to, is just them being young and the ego is getting a little too big when they like, beat a Barcelona, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or draw with Arsenal, and then Enzo comes out and says that's why we're the best team in the world. It's like, I think be easy with that stuff. I don't think you should ever crown yourself the best in the world in the middle of a season. Yes, you won the Club World Cup, but
player in Chelsea though.
Mickey Mouse.
He is the best looking player in Chelsea though. I'll give him that.
No comment on that one. Any other comments on any other games? I didn't really see any others of interest, to be honest with you.
Palace came back nicely.
But in terms of predictions, Von, didn't you say stocks rising? Harry Wilson, he scored another cracking goal in the weekend. So they lost still, but he's
did.
Magic little left foot of his is doing great things still.
Yeah, Harry Wilson, guys.
They did lose, but I do like what I'm seeing from Fulham. I like the balance, and Fulham have the ability, and sometimes this just shocks me for Premier League sides which are around mid-table, but like you look at the starting lineup and you're like, decent, man. And then he, at the 60th minute, brings on Kevin, the Brazilian left winger, Josh King, the young right winger, and someone else up front to partner with Raul Jimenez. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, he's just replaced his front three or added front three attackers that I would expect to start for a Premier League team. I love Josh King. I think Kevin is really exciting. Yeah, it's just a bit surprising that Fulham just have these players sitting around, Emile Smith-Rowe and whatnot. But yeah, representation of how incredible our league is, I guess, that a mid-table club is just stacked with talent.
And I think they'll go up if they didn't be on the worst end of a lot of VAR decisions. I know I hype on this quite a lot, but like I genuinely think that they deserve to be much higher on the table than they are, based off some of the really bad refereeing and VAR decisions that they've had.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Right, we're almost at 50 minutes and I promised myself 30. On that note, this has been Liverpool in the Limelight, a little bit of an episode where we focus on a single club with two supporters. We're probably going to have a Manchester United in the Limelight later on this week with Balin and Sal. But until then, Von, Chris, thank you so much and have a great week, folks. Cheers.